Plugs. What this has. Oh. Kevin Spencer Jr., peace. I've never seen you in here. Any questions you might have about what I'm doing and what the class is, let me know. You see Realm, peace. All right. Stocky B, 24, peace. Wasn't here last week, so nor was I into school, so any questions, peace-wise you, any questions, let me know. I want to start off with that. Kasim, peace of the God. Let me know any questions you have. When I miss a week, I like to start with the questions and everything that everybody has and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff I've shared. Don't forget the isolated build on the build awareness square. All right. And again, a lot of people watched it, but if they don't make this course as interactive as possible, then there's less and less I can give, particularly for you. So it's important that we set a standard here for the proper engagement here. That way, there's a standard for those that decide to learn online and aren't able to go to a law school in Mecca, to learn. So like visible peace. Like I said, let me know your questions though. Pretend we want to make this digital experience as real as it would be if we were in the school. You know what I mean? A lot of times I come in though with a blank slate, so that way I can get your ideas and stuff and get your builds. Okay. What did you get out of that? When Kevin Spencer, when you say the knowledge, what do you mean? He said, "Do you think the knowledge is more true than Quran and the Bible?" I think anything that we would consider knowledge would be more true than that, right? Well, you answer yourself. So, how feasible it is to sit down and has it been on the hundreds of years to sit down and prove tidbits of the Bible and the Quran? How simple has it been though to prove parts of 120, right? If that's what you mean by the knowledge. Hmm? If we say prove supreme mathematics and we say prove a tool that has no error, right? So how do you prove a tool wrong? You have to use it. There hasn't been an error yet. Right? If you can refine that question a little bit, that way I could give a little bit more insight. You know what I mean? The question comes with a lot of assumptions um, that I find falsities in the knowledge. I mean, how could you, whatever you define as knowledge, though, there can't be falsity in it. So we already have a wrong phrase question here. Okay. All right. There's no falsity in knowledge. So there's a mistake there. Okay. Supreme math is what I meant. You said because supreme math is a way of life, just like the Muslims and Christians. Is it? Is it the same thing? I'd like somebody else to answer that. Is it the same thing? It's absolutely not. But why is the good question here? Right? Why? Completely different. Absolutely not the same. Why, as you said, indeed, that power bat is a useful tool. Can't lose that focus, God, when you on the square. That's great. That's great. Glad to hear that. Mr. G1, peace. Will you speak on digit summing? Oh, digit summing. I hate the way that sounds. We couldn't come up with a better word for it, huh? When building on a day suprema as to whether it is proper or in accordance with the original teachings of 5% culture. Now, where did you hear a silly idea that it wasn't? You know what I'm saying? Who are the people pushing that? You know what I'm saying? Where did you hear that? That's actually a question, God. You know, where did you hear that? You know, because the only places I hear that are from people that don't know, that weren't there, but you know, they get YouTube, they get followings and stuff. You know, unbelievable. You know, sometimes people don't know how to use a tool, and then they forget. They don't know how to use the tool at all. So then, after a while, then they realize, well, maybe this tool isn't really useful, and maybe it shouldn't be. It's just a waste of time. You know, all of a sudden you see hammers and pencils and and wheels thrown out. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Well, you could tell him that he's completely wrong about that. You know, you could tell him I said that. Because he doesn't know one elder that directly told him that. He doesn't. Tell him what firstborn directly told him that. Not this guy told him and he's from here, or, I look at this plus lesson I got and I wrapped it. You know what I'm saying? Tell him which firstborn, which person that was there that he was talking to. Did he talk to firstborn Al Jamel? Did he talk to firstborn Prince? That's what he said. That's what firstborn Prince said. Anybody that was there, like, will I be, Dumar Wadi, anybody? He says he walks with firstborns who have told him this. Ain't that many left, though. You got to put some names out there, right? Right? You'd have to tell me. You know what I'm saying? People tell me that they walk with people, and I don't know what they're telling me. I don't know what they're hearing. You know? And here's why. I guarantee you that they couldn't really describe. Here's where you should put your. where you should start to think, right? When somebody says something wasn't done and it's done now, does that mean that it's no good? That's the first thing, right? So there's this assumption that you don't really get any other proof than you really aren't told anything else other than it wasn't done. You know what I mean? It wasn't done before. You know what I mean? Feels like that Max Romeo song right now. That's why I take a little pause, though. You know, it's like one step forward, two steps backward in Babylon. You know what I mean? Right? Every time you hear some dumb shit, you guys cue up this song here, okay? I'm gonna put it here so you can listen to it later. This way you could think to yourself, though. You know what I mean? And think for yourself. This tool's always been used. Ever since I got knowledge of self. Ever since I got knowledge of self, I've been asked this since time immemorial from older gods. They're all fraudulent now. They all didn't know that he didn't do this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know, and it's funny. You could either be a gatekeeper, right, Kasim, or you're basically just damming up. You're damming up a river, you know, a fluid river, you know, so that way you could command it, you know, so you can guide it the way you want it to flow, you know. And I don't see people being gatekeepers. I see them making dams and walls. You know what I mean? Here's what I mean, right? I'm very against rules. You know what I'm saying? And when somebody says something that it said it was no good because I don't know who they say he's no good. I don't know if he's saying that the father didn't do this or the elders didn't do this. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, I'll even say that probably some of the elders that if they are disagreeing with it, it's probably because they didn't use it that well. Let's put it real. Probably didn't use the tool that well. You know what I'm saying? Right. But I'm telling you, man, I built on today's math and borned it. Once it became double digits, and it's not something we made up. It's the phatic system. You know what I mean? Don't say double digits. I mean, it sounds terrible. Right? It's a phatic system. You know what I mean? Why? Why do it though? You know, and then people don't understand the tool. They don't know how to use the tool. You know what I'm saying? It's like I have a butterfly knife and it has a hook on the side. I don't know why this is here. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make my own, but without it though. Well, then you don't have a butterfly sword. You got some other shit. You know what I mean? You don't know how to use the tool, so you take off the piece that you don't know how to use. Doesn't mean that the tool is no good. It means you don't know how to use it. You know? Mm. You know what's funny here, right? Is that that's also not a way to teach too. You know, Kasim, you brought up another point. I didn't even finish the first point. You brought up a second point, right? In teaching. And how many people are we teaching here? You know what I mean? Like, what are we teaching here? You know what I mean? You know that everything that you teach, though, is unknown to the person that you're teaching it to. That's why you're a teacher. So that means at one point, though, it was difficult enough that they couldn't understand it until you came and showed them how to use it. So that means that it is also part of the teacher's ability to make something that was actually hard to use. And people want credit for being a teacher to present things that are so easy that their only credit is that they found it sooner because you told them, not because you really taught them. You found it sooner. You know what I mean? So a lot of people want credit for teaching, though, and all they're really doing is like, hey, look, there's water. Well, I was eventually going to get water, but you know, you saw it first, so I guess you directed me to that water. Very impressive teaching. It's not really teaching. You know, its fundamental core is to be able to take complex ideas, simplify them, and then bring that individual that you feel and they are willing, right? That you feel have the capability and they are willing to augment the capabilities you might see in them to try to understand what it is that you share with them. Right? So we teach babies though. I mean, you know, babies are smarter than you. If you know how to explain it though, they get it. Now let's go back to it. What's the tool? What's the tool here? Nobody knows how to use the tool, so now it's no good. Right? Let's just scrap it. It's a shitty tool. We don't know how to use it. So what is the tool? Supreme mathematics is the what and how does the original man do. The nature of the creator. It is the law and order of the universe being creation. So when you look back on mathematics, it tells you how everything was made and it goes through that order. We have not found, and I have not seen it, anyone go back into mathematics and show that something was done right and exact or actually exists. And it didn't go through mathematics because it is principles in an order that has, you know, Allah the Father was great with that. And he made a tool that is time immemorial. It describes us to the T, right? To the T, square, the truth, right? So, when we get supreme mathematics and we reach those double digits, right? Knowledge, we say all being born to wisdom. No, it's not. It's a phatic system. It's an idea of what? Simplifying things to a single digit, though. But that's not why we do it. So people think, right? Okay, we took 11 and we reduced it to 2, so it's simpler for children, right? Right? Just texting my daughter here. She forgot I had class. But supreme mathematics is principles of your insight. And as you build, you get what? Knowledge. But that knowledge is also your creative idea, your created idea, and you take it, you use it, you wisdom, you use it, and you come to a revelation of purpose. And it's an understanding that you take out to the world as your culture, and you show its power, right? Its influence upon the world, and it brings you to what? A different state, a different reality, a proper position. I like to call it an equality. You know what I mean? And so these principles have a reality each and every day as we apply it to the days, because we're saying, well, let's focus on these principles and how they add up and how they blend together. Well, the whole point is that you don't live, today I will do knowledge things, tomorrow do wisdom things, tomorrow do understanding. This is not Sesame Street. Not fucking Sesame Street. You know what I mean? Today is not knowledge, and then you do Sesame Street-like things that go with knowledge. Okay? I think it's all Kasim's fault, though. He's infuriating me with stupidity here. Who was it, though, that started this, though? I know Kasim threw the fireball in there. People make it, I don't like, and I'll tell it to anyone, and it could quote me here too, because that's why it's here. I don't think that I don't like that individuals, and I don't agree with Universal doing that. I don't like individuals basically making a page of an individual in the nation. This is something I used to build about with Umala. They make a page, an individual. They represent themselves not as an individual, but as the entire nation. And so their individual thoughts. I'm not even saying understanding, because that's not understanding. Now becomes what is represented everywhere. You know what I mean? And it gets a lot of followers and stuff. You know what I mean? How many followers would I have, though, if I just made a page of the nation? You see my social media, though, all that stuff is from my own work. You know what I mean? I'm not putting flags up and saying this is this and I'm this and say what I do. I share what I do. And that's it. That's me from the nation, but not the nation. It's a big fucking difference. You know what I'm saying? Some people are veterans, though, because they're fucking aging right before our eyes in this shit. You know what I mean? But to say shit like that, like, first to understand, we got to get out of this idea that if you cannot find definitive proof, which sometimes is very difficult, I will give them that. I'll give anybody that. And I know it more than most. It is very difficult to show and prove that everything that we do as a nation was done in those minimal years, right? The very end of 63 all the way to 69. It's a very small amount of years. And then we have to say that it was only done by him when it is actually said that he was teaching us the culture, but we weren't supposed to emulate his life to the T. It was what he was teaching individuals. And we still as a nation still don't know how to actually come together as individuals taught by just individuals that were taught by the Father, and then how they branched out into different things. So he taught people here, let's say Medina, certain things, and then it becomes branches to what they learn. Taught people here in Mecca different things, and they branch out to what people learn here. We still have not learned how to come together and say, these are the tools that he taught us. You use these tools. It's almost like if I learn how to use certain weapons, and because you use different weapons than me, I say it's not the martial arts. And that's where it becomes ridiculous. You know what I mean? Again, back to supreme mathematics. The supreme mathematics daily is our principles. We are not living knowledge on the knowledge day like a theme. We're focusing on it. And what we should be doing when it's a theme, if you were that suited and that able, you're developing your life where you're writing your history in advance and plotting and seeing how things are going. And you actually can live accord to the way that works because you are planning, you are building. So then why the borning? Nobody knows why. Everybody that's saying, oh yeah, we don't do that there. Keeping it simple. I can only remember today's date. I don't know how to put those things together and make sense out of it. You know what that tells me? Is that one of the great exercises. I used to build with one of the great gods emblem, and he didn't like it because he felt we weren't mathematically inclined, and he felt that it wasn't a mathematical tool. And he's right. It is not in the hard mathematics. It is a concept of logic and concepts. It is a philosophical tool of exercise. When you born it and you say, now we're going to use today's, right? Make it simple. Knowledge, all being born of wisdom. What you were doing, right? What you're doing though is you were taking principles and you were engaging those principles in an exercise on how to merge them. How do these things go together? How does knowledge and knowledge come together to be wisdom? Because whether you don't like to born it, the truth is that 1 + 1 does equal 2. You see? Forget about the day. 22, the 22nd day, 2 and 2 equals 4. And the truth is that there is wisdom. There is the ways of men, and there is the ways of these wise men and the ways of these wise men. And how do they coincide to become a culture? Right? How does the knowledge of myself and the knowledge I have of the many, the people, unite together as a proper way of conducting everything? Now, isn't that the way of the king? In the supreme alphabet, you see how I'm linking the principles together. This is an idea of the phatic system, to be able to link numbers and show their relationships. And now that they are attached to principles that we are finding true, and there is no argument by anyone so far that these principles are not true, right? That are making these claims to not born it. So that means that the only problem with borning it, though, is that they don't know how to do it. They haven't proved that it's not a useful tool. They don't know how to do it. And they haven't used it usefully. But to say that it wasn't done, well, what does that mean? Right? What does that mean when firstborns and some of the greatest gods that ever walked this planet, though, used it? I know because they taught me. I know. I go, when I say infinite Al-Jamar, when I say Dumar Wadi, when I say Wise Jamel, right? When I say firstborn Al-Jamel, when I say firstborn Prince, all remembered in perfection. When I say these and so many others, when I say these names, these are people that I had to step in front of and born today's mathematics with a build. Don't tell me it wasn't the culture, because I had to do it in front of them. And when I did it wrong, they were correcting me, giving me, or when I did it suitable enough, they were adding on. They were adding on. Let me add on that. Or as my enlightener knowledge me always would do, he would ask me a counter question. Nothing I ever said to him was definitive. I just think it's funny that somebody could say that they were with firstborns. I give you particular things. Now, I didn't get a chance, because sometimes I will admit that whole gatekeeping thing, I gatekeep by teaching you the truth. I don't have to go around telling people that they're wrong about shit. You know what I mean? And I shouldn't have to do that. But this shit's out of hand because we believe stuff just because people say it. And they have no real stripes in this shit. They have none. There's veterans. They've been here a long time. So what? You got shelves in a law school older. They've been around longer than some of these people telling you they've been around. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's crazy. I'm looking at some of these posts and I see, and it's all the same people, you know? All right, what did let me look at what I missed here in the comments here. You know, on that note about supreme math that Kevin Spencer Jr. asked about supreme math, way of life, just like Muslim Christians, I don't see it that way because supreme mathematics are principles. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole thing. Like I hear it like don't add and don't take. That's not what happens when you born the degrees, right? You are not taking away from the uniqueness of the 11th day. Okay? What you were doing though is that you were showing connections to all the days and that there are patterns within patterns. And that to achieve a goal is also to repeat certain patterns though, right? With a cumulative add-on and also unique, something unique. You know what I'm saying? So for example, like when we look at the first 10 days of the month, we have three sets. We have three sets of 10 days, right? If we generate a goal, the first 10, the teens, and then the 20s, right? So it's three sets, right? So in these realities, the truth is that we're repeating a process three times. If we look at it, and we're adding what? We're adding knowledge, adding to those degrees, and we're adding what? Wisdom to them, right? To know to do this, I think one of the ways of trying to deflate and try to debunk the use of this that's going on is that if I born knowledge to wisdom, then people are only focusing on wisdom again. And that's not really what's happening here. You know what I'm saying? What's really happening though is that in the end, all you have is the nine numbers in cipher. You see what I'm saying? All right. And really, let's say 9 numbers in this case, because there is no day's date. There is no day's date that born 0, right? There was no day's date that born 0. Okay. So it's really those 9 numbers, right? And you have to see how those 9 numbers all go back to a root again. You see, because on the knowledge day, we are getting to a what? Point of wisdom again, right? This is the second set of 10 days in the month. And people only would see that if they would understand, though, that these systems of dealing with the day's mathematics and also borning it, it's just ways of expanding on the tool of planning and writing our history. It has nothing to do with obsessively honoring the definitions that you were told because you are a fucking robot. You know what I mean? That's absolutely not it. Okay? That's absolutely not it. I mean, it's fucking unbelievable, man. There's people so obsessed with, you know, and I think this, right? You know, that, you know, I always said this about KRS-One, right? Well, I think is great. You know what I mean? KRS-One is dope, you know? But I always observed this kind of affliction thinking about him, you know, and I don't want to criticize him now. That's not really the point of what I'm trying to say, right? But it almost seems like when other people start doing the things that we do and we don't agree with them, right? And let me put it clearly, like people are out there in more commercial spheres and they might be borning the mathematics, like let's say like a Lord Jamal, right? And there are things that he says and stuff that where people have said, oh, he's not my nation because he thinks the earth is flat. And, you know, he does though. So like, it's like, you know what I mean? But because it's like basic tests to show the earth, you know, is round. Like, basic like observational test. You know what I mean? So it's like light is wrong now, like the way. Anyway, but instead of saying that person does things in our nation, and the truth is that in any nation, you have people that you vehemently disagree with or don't consider in your nation. You know what I mean? Just like I do. You know, I don't consider some of these niggas in it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a fucking pack of Muslims, though. You know what I'm saying? Because they're doing the same thing. You know, they're doing the same thing. And what they do is they exclude things. They keep making things more and more exclusionary. And we're only going to keep the things that Allah did. When the truth is that when he made this teaching tool, I really think that you cannot really prove, you know what I'm saying? You cannot really prove that no one was born in the mathematics while he was alive. You know what I'm saying? You cannot prove that. You know? He had just devised this teaching tool. You know what I'm saying? And the way that it elevates, I think that we have to refine the teaching tool and develop it in such a way where it honors all of the principles that are originally in it, but also offers an insight to use. And how would it help to take away one of the uses of it? You know? One of the most introductory tools to engage people, to learn how to blend principles. And these principles don't stand alone that way. That's not how they are built. You know, I understand. You know what I'm saying? You know, I understand that principles add on and build. And every time you born the degrees, you're showing and proving that these principles combine in all type of ways and they make unified statements. Do you realize that as a teaching tool, you've taken out the with the day's mathematics, you've taken out the concept of using it as ability to unify statements. I mean, that's literally, I'm going to tell you something, that's literally the genius of Dumar Wadi's entire life. You know, I'm not going to say the all of his genius, but a big part of his genius was being able to put these principles together and pack them. You know? And so, yeah, you know, when you're born, the square mileage of the planet Earth, those numbers don't necessarily mean that. They don't. But it was that he was able to take the theme of the Earth and then those numbers and make concepts out of them and show you how the concepts could unify and be a teaching tool of insight. Why is Jamel, right? Who had another a way of teaching that I didn't do. I would tell him I don't do it because I don't know where those words came from to do that. You know, he called it the mathematical buildup. You know, yeah, I love the God. You know what I mean? I miss him. For years and years, he was the only one's teaching in the law school. That's a fucking fact. You know what I mean? Me and him. Wednesday, Thursday. Nobody else. And in the mathematical buildup, man, it'd be lightning fast, man. He'd born whole words in the alphabet, put them together, you know. I can't even do it, man, you know, but like, you know, and born it all. Knowledge borns this and this borns that because this, and he would make statements though. What was the tool? What was the point of the tool? You know, the point was that however you pack up these principles, that is not the answer. It's in the ability to say that you understand each of the meanings of those 9 9 supreme mathematic numerals in cipher, and you're able to actually put it together in a working reality. You see, it is truly a culture as opposed to a lifestyle of following rules and regulations, right? Because even the Muslim and Christian needs interpretation from someone wise to know how this should be lived daily, because the books don't have all that. Whereas supreme mathematics is a tool, and then now one of the most engaging tools that we have used. You know what I'm saying? I think if a teacher doesn't like to bore into mathematics, like my brother Emblem never liked it, then he doesn't have to use it. And his reasoning was sound because he cared for mathematics. But when I explain these concepts, that this is really it is really a teaching tool to learn how to merge philosophical concepts and apply them with the science of logic to the outside world that we are dealing with, to understand it better, to deal with it better, but also to be able to plan our reality. You see? And the truth is, they say, look, oh, we already did the second day. No. That is not how you look at the time of patterns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Knowledge add on a cipher. It is very synonymous to knowledge. You see? If you don't come to grips that there is a reality of renewal there, and it is not just a brand new day, but also a renewal reality, then you're not understanding how mathematics is working. And then the knowledge add cipher links with that knowledge then. Because I had done all these days, and now how do we take it a step further? Knowledge. The knowledge of last week, and now the knowledge I bring into this week. It is a new way. There is a wisdom to it. These numbers, they add up. You know, I think we throw away a tool, and the only reason is hadith. And it's poor hadith. It's and I'm gonna keep it real here, right? I don't care what anybody says. And I don't tell them to their face or anything like that. Whoever you are and however old you get, the histories that you share of reality will have to be supported by works. And they will have to be supported by documentation. You know what I mean? I think that we're not going to grow if we only say we adhere to say we do that, when new tools and new viable builds that we could do with these tools are just thrown away because they weren't done by Allah the Father. You know? Do you realize that half of my curriculum is thrown out, even though I have shown and proven every single thing? I'll tell you something though, man. The people that hoop and holler against certain people are the ones that become just like them. You know? You hoop and holler about those are Muslim gods. They're not us. They're not this. And so what you do is you make yourself more exclusionary so they can never be confused with you. This is how religions are made. You know, all we have to do is just be the true and living God. We don't have to do anything else. Like, we literally don't have to do anything else. Just doing that will show and prove that everybody else was a little bit more religious. You know what I mean? Dealt with more mystery, none of that stuff. Yeah, every day, all of a sudden, people come up with revelations of what was done and what was not. And, the truth is, they were waiting for people to return to the essence, to take their shot. Now we got the reins, right? And I don't see people teaching. I just see people getting packs of followers, because that's all you do, building on having official build spots on the internet and social media. You get followers. That's literally, that's why they call them followers. They really are. You know? And people build, and they roll with a pack of people that all just believe that. Well, that's not how it was done. Well, did anybody ask, why can't it be done? And then now you get the shitty reasons. Now you get the shitty reasons, the weak reasons. Oh, because we already did that day, so you can't add them to. Oh, wow. I'm so sorry that math does that it's able to reduce to a focus point. I feel like if I born the Wisdom God Day, all reality will be lost about the specialness of 27. Wow. Some people keeping it simple. And they say they keep it simple for babies. Those babies is not really babies. The babies is followers. Make it as easy as possible so we could get an entire flock of people that will follow this. You see? And that's the problem. I think it's sad. I think it's pathetic. You know what I mean? But it's whatever. I don't listen to fucking niggas, though. I don't listen to that nigga. You know what I mean? And wherever they're getting their mouthpiece from, I don't hear anybody telling me that nothing else. You know what I'm saying? And you wait till people die to tell you, like, oh, we never really did it that way. Well, you know what? Where was the strength to say and show and prove that not only wasn't it done, but that doing it is detrimental? Because you got to do two things. Knowledge, right? Not just the knowledge of the past, but the knowledge of its present reality, right? They even fuck you up with the math. You know what I mean? Malik, you're asking if you see this reality of now, something that has been prevalent for a while. It's always prevalent, though. But we lost a lot of important elders. You know what I mean? And I'm going to tell you, we lost an important peer of mine, Siakil. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, these people, they talk about, listen, I'm gonna say it right now, okay? People have pages, though, and they say that they're live and everything. There's only two niggas that's live from a law school in Mecca. And that's me and Darkim. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else is 20 miles outside because they're not there all the time. People know, they know the histories. They don't know the histories of the people right in front of them. You think Darkim started teaching now at the school? I had to learn from him. So much bullshit now, you know what I mean? Like, shit is ridiculous, man. Do a lot of hadith battling. Hadith. You know what I mean? I got it. I was around this person, we didn't do that. Okay. Is that the only framework that we have now? You know what I'm saying? Father didn't eat tempeh. You know what I'm saying? A large staple of your diet soon is you'll have to get rid of. You know what I mean? I don't know. Are we here? Are we here getting knowledge of self the way elders learned it? Learning the way elders learned it. You know what I'm saying? With the idea to advance it and to add on and really say the babies are the greatest. You know what, Malik? It has never been difficult. It has never been difficult to teach students. It has always been my peer group that had been the biggest dickheads. You know what I mean? Thinking religiously, all of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't. Because the truth is that you see how they lead up to arguments, you know, and it's like it disrespects all those elders to say that, you know, they were doing something as if it was just useless. And you wouldn't have gotten the knowledge though if they didn't born that and give you a build like that. Yeah, but it's like that's why I put that song "Wise You." You know, one step forward, two steps backward. Inanna Babylon, right? Fucking Babylon. You know what I mean? You got a lot of Babylon brains over here. You know? I don't know. I don't know. You know? And I say, you know, again, um, that you have to understand that Allah the Father, let's give you some points in these ideas. Allah the Father taught everyone different. He also taught firstborn piecemeal. It wasn't the way we get it now. Like I give you a sheet and I make it very distinct. You know what I'm saying? Let me write a note here. I just thought of something and I didn't want to forget. But we're supposed to be learning critical thinking skills. And the Father taught people differently. Doesn't mean that he taught some people wrong, you know? He also observed a lot of tools. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's the only ones, man. The Father taught people differently. He taught people from Medina differently. Medina didn't get refinement. He allowed people in Mecca to run with refinement, right? And the truth is that it has some flaws. You know, it doesn't always take. There was particular teachings. Elders wrote the lessons later. Firstborns wrote it later. They wrote them. They wrote the degrees down. So then there was some differences in, you know, why do we let a half original man Columbus? Why do we let a half original man like Columbus? You know, subtle differences started to creep in because, you know, people get it from memory and stuff. You know what I mean? They did a really great job. You get errors like inches of the planet Earth. You can't have inches on the planet Earth. You can't measure all the inches, right? It's a circular. There's to be square inches. So you get some mistakes, but you fix them because they're glaring and they had to be fixed. But let's just say for the argument's sake, you know, that all these elders and firstborn, they were teaching me something that they devised after the father left. Let's say, you know what I'm saying? Or let's say what's more realistic is that they were doing this though, and no one would, the people that say didn't happen don't remember properly, and or they weren't doing it. They weren't doing it. Because they didn't learn it, they weren't doing it like that, they weren't taught like that. Remember, the father doesn't teach everyone directly. He teaches the firstborn, and then they teach. And then a lot of them, they're young, teaching themselves. See how this works? I'll tell you from teaching them. He'd have to have hundreds of students, near 1,000 students. There's no way he could teach them as individually, as impeccably the way he did, unless he had those firstborns going around. And if you were with these elders, you would know that they had so much love and respect for the father, they would have never veered away and been like, we're going to born all this stuff. We're going to born this and just be off, you know? Peace to the God, infinite mind. I'm on a whole rail. I'm a whole fucking rant here. There's apparently borning today's mathematics, though, is a sinful act because it wasn't done when the father was. It was done after. And the proof is that certain individuals say that they learned it from firstborns. You know, all the firstborns, some of them that I didn't really build with, the ones I built with, you're telling me they kept their mouths fucking shut when they were in parliaments that I was at, though, and every young kid is going up there and born into mathematics, though. Right? You guys are full of shit. You guys are full of shit. And now that all the elders that actually were doing shit, nobody liked the way Allah did shit. Everybody complained about Allah doing this, doing that. And you're lucky that you're lucky there's a pandemic. That way, you never have to be blamed for having parliaments that just don't quite set it off. You know what I'm saying? You're lucky Akil isn't here. You're lucky Akil isn't here. Because a lot of people talk shit about people after they left, though. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you, man. You know, that'd be like when I'm not there, you know what I mean? That stuff that Sunez taught. Yeah, he made that shit up after he left. You know, it wasn't really true. A lot of people need to atone for their fucking sins like a fucking Christian. They need to be bowing. They need to be going to a lot of school, though, and making a pew. Something nice and comfortable to put their knees on. So they can bow, though, and they could say, my apologies, though, to the elders. My apologies to the peers like C. Akil. You know what I mean? The ones who were doing stuff at that school. I seen that school built up. I was there when it built up. I could tell you the colors of the floor each and every year. Fuck out of here. You guys are full of shit. You guys are veterans, though, because you got older. All I hear is more religion. Don't do this, don't do that. No reasons. No reasons. No earth, wind, and fire. They don't give you the reasons. And I'll tell you what, I said it at the beginning of class, I'll tell you why. To be a teacher is to make the complex truth simple to the youth. The student is someone that is willing to learn and that you see the capability that they can handle this concept and they are willing to try to handle a concept. But the student doesn't always know how difficult the concept will be. But it is you that prepare them and guide them and explain it in such a way that it makes it simpler. That's fucking teaching. Not keep it so simple. You know what I'm saying? I got a lime here. You know what I'm saying? We could make some limeade. Oh, wait. That's not in the teaching, no. The father said, keep it simple. I'm going to give you lime drink. Let's keep it simple. Because you got to cut. You got to cut, and then you got to make two. So one becomes two, and that's adding and taking. And now, no. Let's keep it simple. Let's go get some lime drink. Let's just say this, though. Let's say this. Let's say the father never born supreme mathematics. I'm going to tell you, though, you have a long way to prove that it was an apprehensible tool to the father, something he shunned. Because then you'd be telling me that all the elders that knew the father, all of the firstborns that were with the father that I know, and all of the first fruit and those afterward that were around the father, that were taught by those elders that were with the father, that they all willingly disrespect, or a whole chunk of them willingly disrespected, and something that he said, no, don't do it like that. And they said, you know what? When he passes, we're going to burn those damn things. I want to add it up. People say, I read something in a comment. You born it, you get to the number. We already did that number. Like today's the 11th. We already did the second day. You realize how babyish that sounds? It sounds babyish. Baby. You know what I mean? We did too. Today's 11th. No idea the connection, the synergy, the beauty of mathematics, the interconnectedness of the principles. There's no such thing as taking something from knowledge to born. Okay? I clapped. I took it from knowledge to born. I thought of the idea, right? And then I realized I would have to do it quickly, right? That would be the way. And then I came to the understanding that I would do it. And then I did it, though, and it had a smack. And then I was able to present it to you. This is the equality of it all. I'm fucking stupid. It doesn't happen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It happens all in one shot. When we look back on something, it goes from 1, then 2, there is 3. And we're making parameters to give it that separation. We're giving a false separation to give it insight. That's literally, we are breaking it down. We are breaking it down, right? This is a dialect, you know, as long as the dialogue is insightful. But, you know, mixing math and alphabet, the truth is alphabet was already mixed with alphabet. It only exists because it was with the alphabet, with mathematics, right? It literally only exists for that reason. Q, meaning queen, has no reality unless you know that that is the 17th letter, right? Yeah, that's true, Infinite Mind. They're more vocal now, though, too, you know, the digital ghettos. And when I go there on Thursdays, I don't hear anybody saying anything. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, I haven't taken the time to be a policeman. You know what I'm saying? I have to police dumb stuff. People don't know how to use tools, so they throw away the tool. You know? You know? That's right, 793. You know about emblems. You know what I'm saying? See, people think I don't know. They think I'm not teaching this religiously. All the aspects of what I teach, though, I know the pros and the cons, because I'm not teaching you what I think to be correct. I'm showing you what is right and exact. And to be right and exact, I have to show you the entire history. Because if I'm teaching you the history of this nation, the reality of this nation, then I show you all of the reality. Not just that's wrong and you can't do it like that and they did it wrong and so it's not part of the. I'm gonna read this. Infinite Mind said every Saturday we was on Mount Morris Park training for hours, going through lessons. Meanwhile, all those talking now were nowhere to be found except in the front of their own walls. Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? They say they've been around for this many years, but 99, 2000, 2001, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Where the fuck were they now? But they know everything. They got in touch with everything. Now it's time to teach it correctly. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, praises to some bullshit. You know? Fuck with these people. You know what I'm saying? It's funny because everything I do, I always got to hear the same shit. I do things in hip hop and people talk shit. And I'm like, they weren't even there. They weren't even around. I'm teaching here and they're acting like they were around. They were around with who? What? Who? You know? Now the way everybody was teaching and stuff was a disgrace to the father because he didn't do it. And a particular elder told you no. Okay, gotcha. I hear it. I hear it. Yeah, they're not, and we haven't really had a parliament. You know, like the way they used to. You know what I'm saying? And it's clear that you know, when I go to a next parliament, I'll have to bring it up. You know what I mean? But everybody knows everything all of a sudden. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows everything. Everybody's fucking builder. Everybody's the builder. You know? They know all about the children. Time and space, Millie. Time and space. Yes. You know? Yes. Time is linked with space. You know? And that's why the knowledge degree says that. You know what I mean? I loved everything about Emblem's writing. I think he had a fair argument. You know? But see, learning supreme mathematics doesn't mean that you're a so-called mathematician. You know what I'm saying? And that's literally not what it is. It's a form of scientific logic that certainly is mathematical, but it is not advanced mathematics. You know what I'm saying? You know, you don't, you know, right? Yeah, only Medina got it right. You know, and I tell you, sir, I didn't add on, and I always make this statement clear. A lot of this backlash happens with Mecca and Medina because Mecca wrote down what they thought it was, and then Medina didn't really get an opportunity to say no or yay or nay. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where it comes from. You know, and and then what happens is that Mecca, like there are things wrong in certain things that they wrote, like in and it would show and prove if it was taken back to Mecca and said, listen, you wrote this wrong or this is not right here. Um, it's assumed that they weren't willing to fix a draft. You know what I'm saying? That they weren't willing to be right and exact. I don't think that's the case. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. You know? All right. Let me take a break here. All right. And when I come back, I'll be even less calm. where we're at. All right. I would like decisions. If you talk about a nation, decisions should be made not only by how it was always done, but is this new add-on or new way of thinking, or in this case, a new tool that is different. Is it useful? Is it viable? And does it actually uphold the mentalities, the original ideologies, the original insights, and the core way of life that was always advocated? See, there is some argument. I even get the power refinement argument. And again, I feel like that's because people don't really teach it well. And I've always felt that the words are wrong. Everybody who even embraces it, I have disagreed with the build. You know what I mean? But once we differentiate and use alternative meanings, which refinement has many alternative meanings, an alternative meaning, the one I use being focused, then it makes total sense. And it is a great add-on to the tool of supreme mathematics. But to say that it was never done and to say these are the original teachings, this is this, it's like, it's always easy to take away a tool. You know what I'm saying? People will embrace that because it'd be easier for them to be this, be easier for them to build and all that. You know what I mean? But if you're really developing a nation and we develop advanced tools, more cultural practices that become the norm, how could this be wrong? You know? Right? So if you're on my side, you know, I'm older now. And if you're on my side for the rest of my life, my students will be learning that the martial arts is part of this culture. You see? That it was always in the beginning, an adherence to it. But I also feel really is truly a part of it and ought to be a part of it, you know, as best as we can, you know, in some kind of way, because we're the ones that are thrust in this martial reality, being the 5%, being so few of the populace, that we do have a martial way of life. And so that ought to be embraced. Was this embraced overtly? No. This is an add-on. This is an add-on that I think is right and exact. And I state such, and I make it very clear. But this is not clear. There is no proof that we weren't born in the mathematics, though. There was no proof that elders weren't dealing with that. So now we go by the word of certain firstborns, and I even have to question them. Where were you when it was time to speak up? We have used this blasphemous tool as a foundation, as a foundational exercise. It is the foundational exercise, and now we just chop off major aspects. Is it just because we don't like to see Lord Jamal do it? Right? Because he says the earth is flat. So, you know, Infinite mindset. People often forget we are dealing with supreme mathematics. I say that because I can take knowledge through Oxford or Webster dictionaries or wisdom, and we get many definitions that are in no accord to the actual meaning of the word itself. Very true. Infinite mind also continues, I can do that with the entire context of supreme mathematics, but it's not the context that we should be caught up with, but rather looking to get to the concept or meaning of it. Exactly, man, right? And exactly that's, you know what I mean? What are we stumbling on here? You know what I mean? You know, um, you know, people come in as saviors of this. You know what I mean? I'm going to save the nation from itself because it's been in the pits, you know, and now it's time for me. But, you know, and then they sound like Muslims, you know, and what's going to happen here, and I'm not going to give particularities, though. You do the research for yourself. But because they hear so much to say we will only do it that way it was done, their ways of teaching the youth will be only the methods that they were passed down, none of the ones that need to be innovated. When they gather the youth together, it'll be in the same manner that it's gathered the youth. And so they won't be viable in any new kind of spaces, right? They won't have what I've been doing at a law school for the last 20 plus years. They won't be able to make a curriculum to be able to teach the new type of student. Because I'm telling you this, though, I'm the one that came with that. They won't be able to inject orthodox pedagogical methods into the classroom at a law school in Mecca. You know what I mean? They'll only teach it the way that it was given, or that they were told that were given. You know, as if those weren't perfect for that time and place, or what was at that time and place. So there's no development, and I'm sure that's what the Father wanted, though. When I go one day, you guys do it exactly the way I taught you. You don't add shit to it. You don't do anything. You know what I mean? Whatever you learn that's new, give no fucks about. Just do it the way I did it. You know? And all of my phrases, let them become hadith. So when I said keep it simple, you baby it and you dumb it down and you simplify it to such a level that has no like actual challenge to the individual. Because everybody's stupid. And as a teacher, as a poor righteous teacher, though, you are a poor teacher. Right? You're not a poor righteous teacher. You're a poor teacher. Right? You just be a poor teacher. I am poor. I'm a poor teacher. So I don't know how to teach a higher concept and exercise. So instead, I'm just going to let them say what today is and what they think it means. And because of that, though, you're only going to say what was told, what it means. And what do I hear? What's the outcome of this stuff? Boring. Fucking boring. Okay? The snooze level of people's builds. Snooze. I have to sleep through all that stuff. Nothing innovative, nothing new. Has nothing to do with their life. Now it says, no, look, listen, I gotta observe. Understanding is to get a clear picture. A clear picture. You mean like YouTube? Like when we get the clear picture and whatever? Boring. Fucking boring. You're boring me. No context. No real life. No individual reality. Right? Wisdom is the wise words spoken. You know? People say boring stuff, though. I just try to think, like, which rapper said it, though? That's which lyric. At least I can make it sound better in my head and shit. You know what I mean? Infinite, yes. So refinement shouldn't be an issue, especially standing next to power, yes. Refinement dictionary means to remove impurities that refined sugar is added impurities. So is refined oil. bread, etc. So how are we going to continue getting caught up in the devil's definitions, especially when we define knowledge as to look listeners? Right. Right. You know, like I said, I always said I understand the refinement thing because as a teaching tool, it if it stumbles, I'd rather not the student teach it, learn it, because refinement in the 120 lessons cannot be changed the way it's used in there, and it is certainly used in 120 as culturing, as a synonym, you know, and that's the way it's always been taken, you know. It's certainly not something that can't be added on to, and I think that when we teach refinement in the power degree, we have to give that history. Yes, it is an add-on. It is an add-on and a very useful one. And I think that the student, and as they become older, I would like the student to say, listen, I want to use what was the original mathematics or not. But Supreme Mathematics, Supreme Alphabet, and 120 lessons is something that we got, and we keep it as pristine as possible. So the student ought to know that. Just like when Firstborn Prince used to have the add-ons on some letters. I don't remember all of them. There's like 2 or 3 maybe, you know? And I would say, wow, Prince, when I first got it, I said, Prince, that's not in mine. I said, well, I added that, you know what I mean? And this and that, you can keep it the way you have it, or, you know? He told me, you know? Indeed, and meanwhile, knowledge in Oxford says it's information. Understanding is comprehension. That's right. Power is the truth. Yeah, I hate that one. I really don't like that one. I don't use it. Power is the truth. I thought knowledge was the truth. My wise actions, they're the truth. You know what I mean? What I'm born is the truth. What I'm building is the truth. Who I am, the true living God, that's the truth. Right? My culture is the truth. Everything is the fucking truth. Equality is the truth. You know what I mean? Indeed, God. Our job is to properly define them in accordance to the law of language. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Again, if you know, like I said, the only reason that it's different in as far as the teaching challenge is because it's the way that the definition is adhered to in the way it was in the 120 lessons. And it has a insinuation that it means culturing, you know. Now, do we take students as stupid? You know what I mean? I will tell you that has been very difficult to teach. You know what I mean? And so I kind of give students the option. Sometimes I see it, sometimes I don't. You know what I mean? But in my daily life, I got to tell you, when I see refinement is focus, that is something that is constantly in the way that I think. And so it is a useful tool for me. So I would say that I use refinement in my supreme mathematics because the way I live my life, all of my power is always focused to something. It is never about blaring it all out. Right? It's how we define it, divine truth Allah, as long as you define it in a way that it doesn't become a synonym for culture. If it becomes a synonym for culture, you have struck out. Okay? But power is focused like a light becomes a laser. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh yeah, everybody gets blown away with power is the truth, but it's really like a very, very generic phrase, you know? Yeah. You know? I don't give demerits or gold stickers, but you definitely get a demerit though if you said power was the truth on the 5th day. Okay? I'm gonna X you out. This shit doesn't mean anything to me. Everything in supreme math, the whole supreme math is the truth. Which one isn't the truth? They're all true. Right? What a class here. We shouldn't be separating supreme mathematics anyway. It's a whole where one reinforces the other. Infinite Mind says, is there really knowledge without wisdom, or understanding without wisdom, or culture? Right, right. Without one, two, three, or power, without, right. I definitely see that. I definitely see that. You know what I mean? And that's why boning the mathematics, though, I love that tool, because it shows you that things aren't just happening from one and then a gap and then wisdom. We're highlighting points. We're using it past. But to use it for the future, we have to know how they relate and how they sync up and how they blend together. You know what I mean? Peace Divine. You said, what is the ingredients in chewing gum is the truth. That's right. That's why I have a vegan chewing gum in my mouth. All right, Spry. There we go. There we go. All right. All my stuff is always vegan then. You know? Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Nobody's catching me with no pork. Okay. Divine, you know me though. What are you trolling like that for? That Divine knows me though. Trying to throw the dart question. All right, I missed a comment here. Divine Truth said, can it be used by refinement? Be okay. Used itself, or does it have to go with power? Interesting question. I like questions like that because a person can refine him or herself without power. Now, refinement is something. This is where we see why it's a teaching tool. Refinement really could go on all the degrees, right? Technically, by that definition, right? However, right, when when someone lives out their understanding, that is their culture. But their culture is also what has an influence on people in how you present it. How it's presented is the wisdom phase of that outer reality. 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. Right? The first part and the second part, the inner and then the outer. But you see how they link up. 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 6. You see? So when we look at that, when we look at someone's what? When we look at their refinement being in the power, we're also looking at the way that their culture spreads out, right? And that's why it's there. Certainly an add-on, but it's a powerful add-on. It's a worthy add-on. You know, it's almost like, what type of nation are we, and how are we not religious though, when the actual add-ons from the elders are not really respected? You know, even though that they were respected by the Father. At worst, tolerated. And I don't think that tolerating and just being able to tolerate something was the way that the Father taught. You know? That's peace, God. Appreciate you, G1. Yeah, share it though. That way I could have beef, you know what I mean? Uh Dr. Dankenstein, etymology of refinements to improve, purify, being free from what is basing. Uh-huh. And Infinite points out there's refinement in all the degrees. I love you too, God. Ah man, divine. I've known him forever. You know what I'm saying? Uh yeah, look, you said when I teach my people, I let them know that my power is the truth. See, that's different though. See? When you say what I meant was when it said generically, power is the truth. I mean, that's generic. But when you say my power is the truth, then I see that. You see what I'm saying? When I say my power is also the magnitude of that, then I see that. It's much different. Yeah. Right? So I see it. I see it. They sell Spry, by the way. Um, health food stores always have it. But if you're not in New York, I know Vitamin Shop sells this. You know, they usually sell these at the counter. You know, and these are also on Amazon. You know, like if you just want to buy a whole bunch, you know what I mean. But it's the gum I've chewed for years. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, years, because I don't want sugar either, but I also don't want an artificial sugar that is dangerous and dangerous chemical like aspartame or anything. They're using xylitol, which is really a sugar alcohol, right? And it's good gum, good quality gum. You know what I'm saying? And xylitol is good for your teeth, so it's actually good, you know, to chew it. All right. If you said power is what a person is able to do, my ability to cause an effect, to produce results, to motivate people to change something, the key word there is ability. So how do we define ability? Ability is what one is skilled at or what one has the means to do, even if they aren't skilled at it. I say that because talent doesn't outweigh drive. Anyone who doesn't believe me, check out all them whack ass rappers that are killing the game right now because they put in the work. But many with talent just expect things to happen to them. Kevin Hart ain't the best comedian, but his drive is stronger than many of his peers. Yeah, great example. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like purr gum, by the way. Um, they add sugar. I don't like the sugar. Let me confirm that. Oh no, purr gum is good. Yeah, yeah. I thought purr gum was the one. There was a gum with a cartoon character on it that had bad sugar, but I never find the pure gum. I think it's called pure. I never find that gum in the stores where I go to. So, but that's a fine gum too. That's a fine gum too. It's fine too. Mhm. Good choice. Mhm. Well, like visible, you said if Medina don't have refinement, how did first born? It's not whether they don't have it though. It's not like they didn't intermingle and know each other. Like it's not all separate. Like I mean, that's a fib. You know what I mean? Like I'm from Medina. You know what I'm saying? God's is from Medina. Like I taught for years at a law school in Mecca with Infant Al Jamar as like a co-teacher with me. You know what I'm saying? Just because we had that synergy one year, that was really a great year. You know, and so all that stuff is like people are from places and they're here, but that doesn't mean that they don't. Again, a lot of this stuff really comes about because Mecca wrote down stuff and they started to print out lessons and things like that. And Medina technically was a little behind, and I think maybe left out of the discussion wrongfully. And I think that's what happened. You know what I mean? I think that's what happened. Yep. But it's still. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, it don't count. Yeah. It don't count. Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't really. I'm not in the heart of Medina. I was in the lung, the lettered lung. You know. Uh, you know. It's a spick hotspot. I was in a spick hotspot. Doesn't count. You know what I mean? Thank you for that, Dengster. I look for it because I try to get some family members to chew better gum, and if they could find, because Spry, you don't really find it in like a CVS or anything like that. It's only health food stores. But if you could find the pure gum, if they could find the pure gum in the CVS, I think that would be a better add-on. You know. Right. Mm-hmm. You know. Right. 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 You know Yeah, man. I'm not from the heart of Medina. You know what I mean? So depressing. You know, you know what though? I think certain people got cases of the Scottie Pippins. You know what I mean? That's what I'm gonna call it though. Niggas got the Pippins. You know what I mean? That's why they keep, declaring shit, making shit. They got the Pippins. You know? Yeah. That's why they're talking all this shit now. Forgetting Jordan. Don't get mad. Don't get mad about the Last Dance. You know what I mean? A lot of these brothers popping out the woodworks on some Pippins. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. So in the week that I did not teach last week and I was off, this is the only beef that we have. That's it. Well, okay. Right. Anybody have any other questions about anything? Oh, about the no, people ask me if you're born to mathematics. That they're saying that you don't do it, and they're telling me that it's mainly supposedly universal and live from Mecca. You know, live. Put those quotes. Live from Mecca. You know what I mean? There's only one nigga that's live from Mecca. You know what I mean? They've been live from Mecca the last 20 years, right? Everybody else is visiting. Don't give me that bullshit. You know who's live from Mecca? You know who's really live from Mecca? C.I.Q. C.I.Q. was live from Mecca. He did more shit in 3 years' time than most people did in 30 years. I don't want to hear no shit ever about anybody saying that they're live from Mecca. Nobody. Darkim is live from Mecca. Darkim was teaching there while people still sucking in their thumbs. You know what I'm saying? Scared of Colleen. Tell me you was live from Mecca. You think they're live? You got dudes in there because you fetch the coffee for firstborn prince. You pay your dues. You fetch a coffee for firstborn prince. I remember breaking two in Sunset. Yeah, I did that. Right? When they say prophets to reform the devil, it really could go to all the religions. You know what I'm saying? It could go not just to uh, Muhammad, Jesus, but even to Shakyamuni Buddha. You know, right? The Buddha. Oh, it's Mr. G1 who started this shit. Oh, okay. Shame on you. That's good. It had to be said. It had to be said. You know? Scared of calling the firstborn prince. Right? You learn with firstborn prince though, but now you're telling me what he was teaching you was wrong. You can't show and prove it though. You're just saying that other people didn't teach it. You know, this is funny. You know, we have to set some kind of, precedent though. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's more annoying to me right now. You know what I'm saying? Right? COVID mandates or niggas fucking hadith mandates. You know? Right. Right. Yeah. But it's okay though. Right? You break with certain ideologies because they're not knowledge. So elder, he's not here anymore with us. I love him. I love him. Remembered imperfection. You know? And the truth is what counts. So I know he don't mind me telling the truth. When I first started learning, many elders were against plus lessons. And I give you him as an example because I heard it from him too. You know? And I remember Freedom, Papa Wu, saying that, we don't write plus lessons, this and that. And this is a big deal. This is a big deal in my life to hear this from him or other elders because I'm a writer. And the one thing that I could add on immediately is what I write. We started teaching the peace course, Name by Day Sun. handed to me that time. And trust, when I say that Dayson made the name, he also got the place. He did a lot of politicking to say, listen, they're gonna give this little spick, a fucking class here. He'll teach it. You know what I'm saying? He'll be able to teach it. He's taught by him and him and him. All right, we'll give him a shot. And it was known as a writing class by many for a long time. Many of the elders didn't kind of recognize it was a civilization class. You know what I mean? Right? And even then, there was a little problem with that because it was writing. What are we teaching writing for? What do you want to write things and write new things? Right? And it seemed like trying to set a precedent of the proper way to write things that honors what we deal with and elevates what we deal with was almost teaching too little too late, because we had phonies come in, you know what I mean, the Wakils and the Michael Muhammad Knights, and they wrote things, and instead of worrying about not writing, we should have worried about writing. And I always concerned myself with writing, so that didn't, and I broke the mold. I love freedom, but I disagreed with him, and I wouldn't have it no other way. There's nothing he said that had any kind of like bearing on me saying maybe I shouldn't write this. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I'm gonna write this. We're gonna write this stuff. You know? And I can separate teachings that have some insights, but are primarily emotionally based teachings. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The discrepancy with teaching plus lessons, it wasn't because they weren't the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And so we were discouraged to write our own as well. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened in the beginning. And some of us didn't listen, thankfully. Right? Supreme Understanding did not listen to that. Or he did listen. I'm not saying he didn't listen. That's the wrong word. We didn't adhere to that. And so we took part and wrote a great book. You know, he headed a great book and led that charge. And now the self book was written. Right? Star Mail didn't take heed. And I got to edit some of the greatest books ever written. The Righteous Way series, you know? Right? So that's what happened. Mhm. Oh wow. Yeah, you're taking it back, Infinite Mind. Shit. So I must have did something. I must have had Day Sun in check, right? Day Sun didn't keep you from running for the hills, huh? Day Sun is the eccentric one, right? On another level. Peace to the God, Day Sun. That's my day one in this nation. You know what I'm saying? I could talk shit about Day Sun. That's right. Curriculum. First curriculums. When I still use paper. Yeah, it seems like every day, Mr. G1, something else is not the way we do it. We don't do it like this. We don't do it like that. Or, and all I see is people just trying to resurrect the language and the vibe. It's almost like retro music, you know what I'm saying? No matter how much you try to do retro music though, it's never really the same. So no matter how much Little Brother and Ninth Wonder tried to capture Tribe as a group, or Pete Rock on the beats, it's never going to be Pete Rock though. But it can be Ninth Wonder. You know what I'm saying? And no matter how much, Griselda, minimalizes in their beats and tries to get the Mobb Deep vibe, it absolutely will never even be close to Mobb Deep. But it can be Griselda, and it can be a good thing, right? That's what it is. That's what nation we have. Like, there's so many things that we have, like a core that is a blessing, and then a tool that has been used for years and years among those same elders, that now all of a sudden they were all insincere and lying to us. You know, there's always hard truths, but if you're around these elders, you know that is most likely not the case. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I knew 793 would mention Fruity Loops. I knew he would. I'm not surprised at all. Of course, he had to say Fruity. I like Ninth Wonder. I'm a fan of his. I collect a lot of his. I collect his music. Right? But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like all of a sudden they've been bestowed all of a sudden with things that they never knew was the right way to do it, and I don't know where they get it from, because the people I think he's getting it from, they're from the same tree as that I'm from. I don't know where all this hadith is coming from. That's not the way we were taught, you know. But infinite mind, you're dropping some jewels there, definitely. Yeah, that's exactly right. So, right, absolutely. They can't though. They can't though. But they could be Griselda though, you know. And then you know what happens, right? When we get this knowledge, though, we are living and doing as the Father did, as best as we can, as the elders that we're with. But eventually, we become us, and no one is us. You know what I'm saying? No one is us. One of the things I love is that, like, a lot. I taught a lot of people. I've taught a lot of people. You know, and sometimes with my early with newborns and stuff, sometimes people could trace like, oh, that you sound like Sunya as he's saying things Sunya says, because I teach certain things. I have my own shtick. I have my own shtick. You know what I mean? But the honor is that the student becomes, totally different, unique and special. You know what I'm saying? Malik, when you ask what is a plus lesson is the this is a plus lesson. I'm going to show you. Plus lesson is your understanding about a particular topic, right? Let's get in here. And when I did my specific lesson here about the power bat, the build awareness square plus lesson that I share, that's exactly what that is. Right? So this in audio form. All right. No, shtick is not from Sun. Yeah, shtick. Yeah, yeah. I was born in Borough Park though, so there's the uh, the Hasidicisms. That's what I'm calling it, the Hasidicisms coming out. Oh shit. Yo. That's right. I had built with Infinite about that. Caucasian doesn't survive though being pure. I mean, there's no such thing as a pure Caucasian. He wouldn't die. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know? I'm glad, Malik. You know, I'm glad. And if somebody found something wrong with it, I would hope that they would, counter and or add on to it. You know what I'm saying? And debate and you know. I don't think that every plus lesson should be non-debatable either. Some of them have opinion, and that's okay. And that's why we separate them, and that's why we say that they're plus lessons. You know what I'm saying? Right? Brooklyn Jewish accent. Forget about it. Yeah, but Hasidics, I never used to hear them talk when I was a kid. They hated everybody that if you weren't if any original people that went up there to Borough Park. So it's not like I remember how they talked or shit. I don't know how much influence they have on my life. Probably Woody Allen movies influenced my accent more than they did. That's right. That's right. Yeah, but I shouldn't have to. If we're really doing this, we shouldn't have to be redefining and shit. And it's not really true. I mean, say shit like that. It's not true. You know. No, they should. People are properly taught and everything like that. But there's always room for error. You know what I'm saying? There's always room for error because the way someone learns though is also by challenging the truth as well. So what happens is that if they're really good students, then you find error because you're challenging them to find even more insights to why something is true. Like we don't say the black man is God, and then it's an actual fact that never gets questioned. We're supposed to be challenging it all the time. So you see what I'm saying? So there's always a room for error. Like, okay, that's true. And I mean in a build destroy fashion. You build and then what was once there is destroyed. Like you're finding new insights that better clarify what you once had. So this is what I mean. I don't mean like gross error, like, oh man, his degree says white man is God. You know what I mean? Like, no, not like that. You know? I mean, in the development of insights, you know. True indeed. Yeah, yeah. A lot of my teaching methods were not considered proper. I don't even know if they still are. Yes, peace, Malik. I'm glad that it's useful. You know, because if it wasn't, I would want people to tell me so that way I could fix it or dump it. Right? Appreciate you, Malik. I mean, I don't worry about it. You know, I don't sit here like lonely at nights and saying, "Oh, look, you know, these niggas don't appreciate it." I don't give a fuck. But it certainly was like that in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's only because I put in this work that it's undeniable. You know, but then we continue. You know what I'm saying? And now I could actually build without having to, you know, deal with naysayers that aren't really adding on. You know, there's a difference between a naysayer that is trying to challenge you as opposed to someone that is adding on. Two completely different things. Let's see what we have here. Yeah, man, I really agree with what Infinite says, Malik. You know, the confusion comes because there are people in this nation that follow dogma, not understanding. Yeah. Divine Truth Allah, you said, okay, that's peace. Those 85 I come in contact with always challenge the idea of the black man being God. As he should. That's life. You know what I mean? It's gonna be life. Infinite said, I was building today with some fruit that the point of getting knowledge is to become a critical thinker, not a damn parrot. I mean, this is really useless. Like, you're going to do all this, though. If you wanted to be a follower, I mean, there's better religions, though. You know what I mean? It's more fun religions. You know what I'm saying? Talk about you could celebrate Christmas and shit, do the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Right? Do Easter and have fucking fun with Easter eggs and shit. Right? That's peace, Malik. And we'll continue to build. We'll continue to build. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody stopping us. You know what I'm saying? Right? Divine truth all the time. I mean, I can't. There's no way I could have. I could have been or be someone that teaches a lot of school in Mecca for the most year. I mean, no one's taught a class that long. I've taught a class in a law school of Mecca longer than anyone. You know, right? 21 years, over 21 years now. Probably right, probably around 20, over 21 and a half years. You think I haven't been questioned? It's supposed to get questioned. I expected to be questioned, right? Must be questioned, right? Must. It's really crucial. You know? Oh my goodness, we had to throw a lot of people out though, man. Some people we love too, you know what I'm saying, right? We had to throw some people out that we got real, that we have real love for. You know what I mean? Because they was being dicks. The hardest degree to have to learn. Probably the 1 to 14. Maybe it was like because the born in the 10th degree always gave me problems memorizing it because they were back to back. Never had the back to back difficulty. You know what I'm saying? But 5, which had to, and if you had to pick 5, which did you see much insight in? Wow. Well, if you could tell the 5, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, the knowledge degree always gets picked 1 to 10. Knowledge degree in the 1 to 40. Um, I would have to say, as far as like me, like what I teach and the degrees that I go into all the time that become like foundations for how I build. Um, Definitely the knowledge build degree, the duty of a civilized person, because that's my format to how what we're teaching, like the order, what we give it. So that's a heavy build for me. You know, that was 3, right? I said 3. You know, who is that mystery God? I love that degree. You know, because it, you know, it's so. That's the kind of declarations we need. You know what I'm saying? Like, and also something to think about. You know, like the parameters. You know, like what I mean by parameters is like in any kind of scientific query, when do you say that you have searched long enough and cannot search? Or when does the search, which is the nature of science, is searching, when is it not fruitful and out of the bounds of science? And that's a question I'm not going to answer right now, but it's something to think about. Like, right? Like literally, when is something scientifically studied found to be out of bounds and not useful enough to continue on, right? Powerful degree. You know, I mean, as far as the 5th one, I don't know. You know, oh yeah, you know, definitely, yeah, definitely, definitely a top crucial degree for me, the 30th degree. You know what I'm saying? How the devil was made. You know, definitely. I think the entire science of that, the entire science is in that degree. You know, and everybody that butchers up thinking that brown and yellow seed was made during the grafting process, you don't understand the 30th degree. All you did was read the 28th one and you didn't get a good understanding of that. You know? And of course the 28th degree too, because that's societal structures and metaphorizing that or bringing it up to today is powerful. You know? It could go on because but yeah, those 5 that I chose, yeah, definitely. Yeah. And when you think about it, you could see it in the way that I teach. You know what I mean? That they're core to me. You know? Definitely. 4th degree in the 1 to 14, 9th degree in the 1 to 4, 10th. Okay. Yeah, they are hard, you know. And plus, you know, when once I get past the 1 to 14, then you kind of have a flow, you know, like you know what you're in for. Oh yeah, you know, my thing with the 38th degree is that I just love the way it sounds. You know what I'm saying? Um, we talk about the beauty of a degree. You know what I mean? I always love that degree. You know what I'm saying? But also, you know, like the purpose. You know, they say like religion. One of the Deepak Chopra said in his book, The Future of God. Um, he was talking about that. One thing he disagrees with atheists is that they don't seem to have the purpose that religion has. You know, a purpose, and they falter if you don't have a purpose. And You know, the truth is that we don't deal with a mystery God, but we certainly have have a purpose, and we adhere to the purpose that was really, if you think about it, was very cleverly put in there by the NOI. You know, this concept of teaching is in it's in the lesson, so that means that they have it, that knowledge equality degree, that to be a poor as his teacher, you know, in that aspect, that purpose in life. That's that's one of the cores of in all in most religions, that drives them to be usefully monetarily and evangelical. You I do love that 30th degree though. God, yeah, yeah, definitely. G1, yes. As we wind down in the last couple of, I know we're winding class down. I want to ask your stance and views on another somewhat hadith mandate as I see it, which is not teaching those over a certain age. I mean, it's unrealistic. I if that when I teach the older student should be willing to show me that he's going to take it to the youth. And then, so I am teaching someone that is going to teach the youth. Um, I learned from Savior Knowledge that if someone has great purpose and has something great to add on to the nation, it doesn't matter what age that you teach him at. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen it's really more younger people that have taken the knowledge and hoarded it for themselves and use it usefully to build their own families, but they really done little else in sharing it with anyone else. That's why there's not really that many teachers. Many of the young used it for themselves, and they built up their families, but they didn't really do anything. They didn't really teach anybody. You know, I teach people of any age as long as they are willing to, after a while, if they're my serious student, to also take that challenge of assignment that they would teach others. You know, and really older people have children, so I think it's great that we teach them. We teach the babies. We're not teaching little kids though. Like, like you teach in toddlers, young children, preteen, young children, let's say from 10 and lower. You're showing them stuff, but that's not what we really mean by the teachings, taking them to 120 and stuff. You know what I mean? Once we get into the preteens on, that's where we talk about the student. I would say that there's an opportunity cost with all students. You teach one, and it takes a time. It could take your time away from someone else that could learn. So if you had to take a choice, you choose the young over the old. Sure, but that's not always a clear case. Clear. You could have a young that is dumb and being dumb, living dumb, and isn't really ready now, and is taking much more of an investment of your time. Whereas the older person has children and is willing to learn very quality, with quality, being a quality student of the greatest kind, and is actually taking it to his children, who are going to be receptive. So like, it's not a clear cut case. The clear cut case though is that we keep it youth driven. You know what I'm saying? That it always has the nature of the youth. That when we teach people that are older, they have to be taken into the youth and making works that share it to humanity. Because you can also teach. The truth is that I haven't just taught young people to realize themselves and be the true and living God of earth. I've taught people that have become great teachers, right? Case in point, Infinite Mind. You know what I mean? And you know what I'm saying? So that doesn't have an age limit, you know? Yeah, so like again, that is really not a hadith only if you start saying only this age. But if you start to understand what the point is about teaching the youth, then, again, critical thinking, man. That's what understanding is. Some people like knowledge, wisdom, and then culture. There's no critical thinking. You don't have understanding. The truth is that people jump from, they're really on 125th Street. They're knowledge, wisdom, power. I got knowledge, and I just say it, and then I got power. And I got power as the truth. They're skipping any critical thinking of understanding, and they don't really live a real culture because it doesn't look real. It doesn't sound real. It doesn't have any viability. It's rather pathetic. It's getting out of hand. There's no real critical thinking. It's, we're going to verify this is as he did, and we're going to do as he did, and we're just going to take it to the modern era. And it's like, that's not the way he taught either, Yes. You know what? Thank you, Malik. I was talking about the beauty of the degree. The beauty of the degree is the answer of the 37th degree. I love Allah's God on the earth and heaven above, and it's just the truth, for there's no righteousness in him, but he's not unseen, he's seen and heard everywhere, for he's all I see. I have it as a run-on sentence in my degrees. And it's my most, I love reading it that way. It's continuity and everything. It's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful answers. The 38th degree, though, however, though, Infinite is right. To me, it's the purpose of this all and how we analyze it. It's a hip hop degree too, though. You know what I'm saying? It's just declarative, But yeah, there's a lot of degrees that have become, major teaching points and that have continued on through the years, Yeah, with that said, though, like any of these issues could be debated with me. I disagreed heavily with what Universal has done since you're saying that, and I see it in what he's doing. I disagree greatly with that. That's religion, 1000% to me, and I gave the reasons. I gave the earth, wind, and fire. You know what I mean? The reasons, right? The reasons that we're here. The reasons that we're right. So, by the way, that Max Romeo album, War in a Babylon, classic album. But let's not live that out. Let's not take one step forward, two steps backward. Yeah, and Allah Love, I don't know that song because I don't follow Jay-Z like that. I am not a Jay-Z fan by any stretch of the imagination. If we're doing our history, though, I do remember the how he gentrified Brooklyn to bring home the Barclays Center. I remember that song. That song stays in my head all the time, right? But with that said, man, now that I've been, he says whatever, he just says shit, no consistency, But again, though, it's just about saying what's cool, But with that said, email me, Frank M. Holler. If this was my classroom, you'd be kicked right out. You guys are late. This class is I teach for 3 hours. I've been here from 7 to 10, so we're done for today, okay? Right? His whole album, All the Brilliant Things. This is my email. Olu Graphics, yeah, his whole album is about gentrification. You know that. Right? With that said, email me if you have any further questions, any further building. I'm on the social media if you want to build there, right? No hadith. Yeah, so email me. All right. And rewind if you want to get this class, okay? Peace.